Maison was the painter of this painting, long since passed away. This was a painting from my father, and it had the position of honor in our house. MFI, the Martin Family Initiative, really started because I had worked up north when I was 17 or 18 with an awful lot of First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people my own age as a deckhand on the Mackenzie River. Every so often we would just get together and we would start to talk about the differences between us and what life was all about. And it was very clear to me that these guys were every bit as intelligent, as hardworking, as fun as anybody I had at home. But there was a melancholy. There was just something that it wasn't quite the same, and I never understood what it was. We all understand what happened during the residential schools, and which was simply indefensible, unforgivable, but it happened. But the even more fundamental issue is that as we began to phase out the residential schools beginning in the 1960s, government continued to underfund Indigenous education. The First Nations know where they're at. They want to control their education system. They've seen what happens when we control their education system. They want none of that, and they're absolutely right. And then what we have to do is to make sure that that education is funded on a per capita basis the same way education, primary school or high school education, is funded in the rest of the country. And I'll tell you, this is a moral issue. It's the biggest moral issue, in my opinion, that the country faces. But it's also a very important economic issue. Let me just say to you, Indigenous Canadians are 4% of our population. Given the fact that there are more people over the age of 65 in Canada today than there are under the age of 15 for the first time in our history, that young population, if given the same degree of education as other Canadians, 20 years from now, will be 20% of the workforce, 20% of our scientists, our doctors, our lawyers, our teachers, our electricians. Are we going to cut that 20% of the workforce out of getting a kind of decent education? What kind of a country are we going to have? Now, the government is now saying we're going to deal with that, and they are, and I'm very confident. We're going to provide the same level of education in terms of cost and in terms of quality. There's no doubt that for every person here, the trip we're on, the voyage we're on, is a personal voyage to really make that partnership between Indigenous and non-Indigenous Canadians a reality.
We are very proud of all the graduates.
But what's able to see now is the huge courage of the Indigenous people in saying we are now going to make it big time. And I can tell you they are. And if you provide them with a decent education, there is nothing that will stop them. And thank God, because they are the youngest and the fastest growing segment of our population. Since the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, there is a change of attitude. There is a fundamental change that's taken place in the country, and I want to make sure that we take advantage of it. We should have done this a long time ago, but that's no excuse for not doing it now.